York.
The John D. Calandra Italian-American Institute and City University Television present ITALICS, the Italian-American magazine. With your hosts, Joseph Scelsa and Emilisa Aleandri.
Hello, I'm Joseph Scelsa, and welcome back to a new season of ITALICS, the Italian-American magazine. We're happy that you could join us for our first show.
And hello again, I'm Emilisa Aleandri, and we brought you here to the intersection of Grand and Mulberry Streets in the heart of Manhattan's Little Italy, the ideal location for this month's show. As you can see, the historic Feast of San Gennaro is underway.
Yes, Emilisa, and we're happy for our community that the events that might have inhibited this feast from taking place this year have been overcome.
Yes, Joe, and we'll show you some of the hot spots as we continue, but right now, let's look at the lineup for our first ITALICS episode of the season.
First, we'll see selections from Will Paranello's film, Little Italy.
Then we'll go to Washington, D.C. to cover the National Italian-American Foundation's Youth Retreat.
We'll also meet and talk with radio broadcast personality Christopher Granozio from Syracuse.
We also have highlights from the Americans of Italian Heritage Unity Day. Now let's meet Will Paranello, an independent filmmaker from Northern California. His film, Little Italy, is the result of his exploration of Italian-American identity.
The Italian here in America, in a place discovered by Colombo, make me feel proud, of course.
I don't know what means being an Italian. I mean, I know what it means being a person that 95% of my life I'm happy.
Music and art and good times and playing cards and drinking wine together. I mean, that's what it's all about.
It means hard work, and it means family, and it means values. And that's what Italian-American means to me.
Many people tend to stereotype Italians as being in the mafia and that we're all crooks and illegal and can't really think straight and that you're dumb, because that's not true.
What they understand as Italian-American is stereotypic Italian-American Goomba life. What I want is for the Italian-American public to be looking for its own story, its real story.
So you went to Italy, you found out that you weren't Italian, that you were maybe Italian-American, definitely American. Came back to the United States and you wanted to find out more about it. And that's how this film began?
Exactly. Yeah, that was the beginning of it. And we really thought at first we were going to make a film about my family, because that's what I knew, and in a sense, that's what I wanted to represent. And I hoped it would have, appeal to people beyond my family members and beyond the Sicilian community. And my family hasn't really known me in my adult life as a professional, because although I come back to New York to visit a couple of times a year, that's for a holiday or a family gathering. They don't see me in my day-to-day life as a professional. So to a certain extent, it was like, come on, kid, what are you putting the camera over there for? Now, why do you want to shoot that? What's that all about? Mm-hmm. So it was very difficult. The dynamics within the family were very difficult. And I felt like, maybe we better choose a few individuals in the family and then go out and find other people in the community. And I think inevitably it made a better film because we really decided we wanted to make a film that would have a more universal quality to it.
Since I've been studying Italian, in North Beach here, I find all kinds of Italian Americans that all these years I thought spoke fluent Italian. And so I start talking to them in Italian and they can't speak.
Oh, this is intriguing. What does this mean?
Getting jobs, being part of America, required, first of all, mastering the language. My parents spoke perfect English. I grew up knowing no Italian, just the words that my grandparents said frequently enough to me that I sort of attached meanings to them.
So Italian was never spoken in the home. It was the secret language that, you know, they talked about Christmas presents or about who was doing what. So I didn't learn Italian in the home. Well, I think that assimilation really does great damage to your cultural heritage.
The only thing that distinguishes Italian Americans from the greater society, it's not color, it's not religion, it's none of those things. The only thing that distinguishes us is our culture.
My grandparents lived with us, and we were raised to believe that we were Italian, we were Sicilian. Obviously, we went to school, we pledged allegiance to the flag, we were Americans, but we were Italian. So that was the spark. That's what made us come back home and say, what does it really mean to be Italian American? And let's, let's look at that.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
My mother always had tons of spaghetti gravy, homemade pastas, and if she had nothing else, she'd always have a lot of that. So no matter who came, there was a big, big table.
The basic key to all of Italian life is the kitchen, you know, and I think that while other cultures have, you know, temples and community centers, which Italians really don't have that much, there's always a sense that the kitchen is the center of the temple, if you will. And of course that figures enormously then with the mother as being the one who is the magician of the kitchen. The Italian American today, particularly the young person who wants to know what these so-called roots are, they're really spaghettis. If you go to Milwaukee or you go even to Atlanta and you visit an Italian family, you will have exactly the same experience that you will have had in your own home. And that is the sense that there's something of spirit that we share, and not just simply that, you know, we buy and eat because we have to, you know, deal with the sustenance.
Any shoot we went to became kind of like a little family event. We would find ourselves engaged in a meal oftentimes before we would sit down. People insisting that we would have to eat and break some bread and have some wine before we could sit and talk, because that's part of humanity, of human discourse, of being together, is sharing in that. The brotherhood of the grape, if you will, to, you know, not be overly dramatic. And it was great. That was a really great experience to have, and I think is indicative of the point that August made, that no matter where you go in America, and I've had this experience in Australia, visiting my sister in Melbourne, Australia. I think wherever you go where there are Italian immigrants, there's going to be a bond, there's going to be a kinship. There's a certain outlook on life that Italians have and share and understand in each other that allows them to find a bond no matter where they are in this world.
There is not within media a sensitivity to the fact that overwhelming numbers of Italian Americans, 98%, are law-abiding, have no connection at all or sympathy for organized crime. And that little percentage of organized crime figures smear the whole ethnic group. And there's nobody in the media with the power to do anything about this.
It's kind of horrifying to me, in a certain sense, how attractive film can make these guys look. If you spend any time studying the things that people have written about Italian Americans, you wonder why Hollywood concentrates so remorselessly on these things. But the answer, I guess, is that they think it'll make money more quickly than something else.
There's obviously a fascination with the whole outlaw and stereotype of the mafia and the myth of the bad guy. And it's an image that all Americans, including many Italian Americans, seem to enjoy. We as Italian Americans have to try to teach our families what is and isn't important and what those values are that are important to us, and that the mafia life is obviously not a life that's important for us to grab onto. It's pretty horrifying to see it glamorized basically all of the time.
I try to instill in my family that the beauty that we had, and we're not renowned for anything, but each of us in our own way really were honest and respected this country and tried to give it all we possibly could.
What I would like Italian America to know is that we don't have to contort ourselves into thinking that we all come from the Renaissance, or that we're all Michelangelos, or that we're all Leonardos, or that, we all design beautiful cars. Simply the dignity of people as people, and that way of life, knowing how to live, is important enough.
To me, it just seems so integrated into my life, And that's why when people say to me, well, what are you? I say, I'm Italian. I mean, it's funny how that's the first thing that comes out of your mouth. And again, our Italian friends from Italy look at me like I'm crazy. What do you mean you're Italian? You're not Italian, you're American. I don't know, it seems like something that was always there.
It's something that stays with you till the day you die, I think. But it's beautiful, and who would want to really lose it?
For more information about the film Little Italy, contact the Mill Valley Film Group at 1-800-484-2726, extension 6176. Now we take you to Washington, D.C. for the NEF-sponsored youth retreat, which took place this past summer. It was informative, entertaining, and a lot of fun, as you'll see.
Hi, my name is Ignatius Grande, and I'm reporting for ITALICS from the NIAF Youth Retreat here in Washington, D.C. This conference brings together Italian-American youth for an array of cultural, educational, and social activities. So come on with me inside as we start off the weekend. The National Italian-American Foundation, based in Washington, D.C., is dedicated to preserving the heritage of the nation's Italian-American community. NIAF funds scholarships, programs, and conferences like this youth retreat. NIAF President Dr. A. Kenneth Ciangoli addressed the conferees.
And it really is an honor. These are not just platitudes, because you are, without a doubt, the future.
Ciro Papiti, chairman of the NIAF Youth Institute, told ITALICS why youth is important to the future of the organization.
The future of Italian America fundamentally is about young people. And speaking as a person who is 25 years old, the foundation helps me out tremendously. It helped me out in school with scholarships. It helped me out after I got out of school with networking opportunities. And now it continues to help me by showing me different ways in which I can succeed in my career as a person and in general as an Italian American. And I think the foundation is extremely dedicated towards helping young people. Primarily, they're putting young people in charge of programs, in charge of the Youth Institute, and they're making sure that young people are on the board of directors and their views are represented on the board of directors. I belong to a number of different organizations, and I can honestly say that no other organization does as much for young people as the National Italian American Foundation.
On Friday night, the participants had the opportunity to acquaint themselves with each other during social activities. Some of the workshops the conferees participated in during the weekend included explorations of their ethnic identities.
I'm proud to be Italian American because I'm proud to be part of a culture where love of life and levity are virtue.
I'm proud to be Italian American because it's strongly influenced my goals for the future and allowed me to work towards those goals.
I'm proud to be Italian American because I think we really understand what's important in life, and that's one of the reasons we're successful.
I'm proud to be an Italian American because I share a gene pool with the Romans, the Renaissance, and the
I'm proud to be Italian American because I met all of you, and I am assured that our future is wonderful. And I want to thank all of you for sharing with us today.
Dr. Sari, what is it that you think young Italian Americans can learn from each other?
I think this experience we had this morning is a wonderful opportunity for Italian Americans to feel a little, some sense of pride of their ethnic background, learn about the values that are Italian American, and form a kind of a support group where they can feel good about their identity. You know, identity and self-esteem are linked. And when Italian Americans feel good about their identity, they're going to feel a lot better about themselves. So it's a wonderful opportunity to do that.
After a well-deserved lunch break, the conference resumed with a session informing participants about internship and job opportunities in Italy.
Also, another good way to get serious international experiences through multinational corporations that have offices in Italy. They run the gamut from, huge multinationals to smaller ones. And it's a good idea to get your foot in the door here in the States, work your way up, and possibly get a transfer. That sounds like, it sounds a little daunting. So if you're interested in an internship, to get your foot in the door, which could lead to a work situation, sometimes it's just as easy as calling up the company, asking for the internship coordinator, and they'll send you the paperwork.
The day's session ended with a demonstration of the traditional Italian card game Briscola. In no time, the conferees learned the difference between le tazze and I denari, like an experienced socio of the Circolo della Briscola. To close the proceedings on Sunday morning, the members of the Youth Institute met with Mayor Mark Molinaro of Tivoli, New York. At 20 years old, Mark Molinaro is the youngest mayor in the United States. Mayor Molinaro told ITALICS why it was important for young people to participate in their communities.
But as Italian Americans, we have to remember our heritage and our history, and that this nation was built on the backs of and shoulders of many of our family, many of our relatives. But as I say to anybody our age, and said here today, and will say always, people our age have to get involved. We have to start making decisions for ourselves, and we have to play a role in the greater scheme of things. Decisions get made without us, and if we don't take part in them, they're going to get more and more are going to be made without us. So I think we've got to play a role in our communities, a role in our family, and we have to help others to do the same, and also to make a difference.
Well, I feel as the Italian American youth in this generation are becoming more and more professionally minded, I think the NIAF can really focus its Youth Institute on job fairs and networking and getting people involved in the professional community. And I applaud NIAF's efforts that they've already achieved within this realm of activity.
Well, I think it was very interesting to come here because I consider myself an Italian citizen, and I've been living in Houston for some years, but it wasn't really until I came to this retreat that I came in touch. I found out so many issues about Italian Americans, young Italian Americans living in the United States, and I find it very interesting. And I think what I would like to see happening in all the different states would be to see more youth involvement in the Italian American issues, because there seems to be an older generation that has a lot of ideas, but not quite the flexibility, or let's just say that they're not as directly involved with the issues that affect young people today. So I think this is a great place to start.
Now let's meet news and sports broadcaster Christopher Granozio, who talks about his work in radio in Syracuse, New York. Since we have a lot of viewers in Syracuse, we're especially happy to produce this segment. Now let's meet Christopher Granozio.
Batting third, the center fielder, number 25, Shannon Stewart. Batting cleanup, designated hitter, number 34, Felix Jose.
In college, I kind of got my first taste of radio working for the college station as a freshman. That was in 1982. And from there, kind of got the feel for it. And in 1987, a year after I graduated, and a friend of mine bought a radio station in Pennsylvania, about an hour from Pittsburgh in a small area, and said, "Do you want to be morning man?" So I took the leap of faith, and from there I've progressed, and I've worked in cities along the way up to Syracuse now, and I've worked in news and sports. My main job is a news anchor, producer / reporter type position for WSYR, which is an all-news talk station. And I do everything from writing the morning news copy to going out on stories and covering like, murders and fires, and to pulling features and writing copy, and I pretty much do everything there. And then on the side, I also do part-time work, working for the AAA baseball team up there, the Syracuse Chiefs. I do the public address announcing, also the music that plays at the ballpark, and also I work in the winter as the voice of Lemoyne College basketball, my alma mater, Division II basketball. A friend of mine and I, Don Familo, we put together this this package where we've done the games for 4 years now. We go out and sell it ourselves and produce it and travel with the team, and we get the team on the air. What we'll do is we'll go to the site of the game, and it's all over the Northeast depending on where we are. The home games are in Syracuse, obviously. We go as far away as Rhode Island or Pennsylvania, Massachusetts to do games, and what we'll do is set up right at courtside, and then we'll make a phone call back to the radio station. They pick up, and they'll run it through some equipment there, make us sound as good as they can, and we just do the game from where we see it in Massachusetts or wherever we may be, and it comes out on the air locally in Syracuse.
And as I understand it, you found a unique way to deal with the broadcaster. You use music in a very innovative way. Why don't you tell us about that?
With baseball, whenever something happens on the field, I'm known, at least in the league, for having a specific song or part of a song, hook of a song, for everything that could happen in a baseball game. So if we throw a runner out, if our team throws a runner out stealing, I can play See You Later, Alligator, or I Got You by Joe Tex or something. And if there's an error, I can play You Be Illin' by Run DMC, or It's a Mistake by Men at Work. I try to find all sorts of remote, obscure songs to try to do the trick. I try to keep it fresh every game. I've done that for 5 years, and it's a lot of fun because it combines my two favorite things, baseball and music.
But how do you manage to retrieve the precise phrase at the right time? Is it all queued up?
I have a system of tapes.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we don't have great equipment at the ballpark because it's an old ballpark that's finally now obsolete. They're moving to a brand new state-of-the-art ballpark next spring, and everything will be a lot easier. But where I used to work, we had them all out on cassette tapes. And then I just had to remember where everything is and what's queued up. And then whenever something would happen on the field, I'd grab the cassette for the appropriate occasion, pop it in, and play it. And 2 seconds later, it's out there for the fans to enjoy.
Mm-hmm. First time I think I've ever gotten through 2 choruses of this song.
What can we look forward to in the future? Where would you like to see yourself working in the future?
I would like to work full-time for a baseball team in the major leagues. And whether that be, I grew up a Mets fan, I would like to be working in New York City where I grew up, doing something along the lines that I do with the Chiefs for the team in the major leagues. Also, I would like to continue to do my Lemoyne basketball in the winter. I'm not looking to make a career out of being a basketball play-by-play man. I just like what I do, and at least for the time being, I would like to continue to do that throughout the winters.
The Chiefs and Tides, thank you for coming out to MacArthur Stadium tonight, and hope to see you out again tomorrow night when the Chiefs and Norfolk do it again at 7 o'clock. This is Chris Granozio. Please arrive safe at home.
This summer, the 6th Annual Unity Day, sponsored by the Queens-based Americans of Italian Heritage, offered a unique multicultural experience. Let's see some highlights. The Queens-based community organization, Americans of Italian Heritage, sponsored their 6th Annual Unity Day celebration last summer. Unity Day celebrates the borough of Queens and its amazing array of ethnic diversity. The City of New York Public Schools Chancellor, Dr. Rudolph Crew, was honored by AAH for his vigilance in protecting and promoting the needs of the city's schoolchildren. The PS 193 Starlighters serenaded the gathering, and everyone in attendance, no matter what their ethnic heritage, realized the reason why inter-ethnic group unity is so important in a city like ours.
We come from different lands, but USA begins to join hands. So And this symbolizes our ability to finally say out loud and become really very clearly anchored to a set of values that really bond this city together and bond this nation together. And those values have to do with our own unity as a people, our understanding of each other, our own differences, as well as our similarities.
What effect do you think these meetings have had over the years?
Oh, I think they've had a lot of effect. We work together, the groups seek each other when we have various projects, and there's a better understanding amongst each other so that we're working together much better than in the past.
This October, in honor of Italian Heritage and Culture Month, the National Italian American Foundation is sponsoring a series of public service announcements on broadcast and cable television stations around the country. Now let's take a look at one.
Hello, I'm Mario Cuomo. Like millions of others, I'm very proud of my Italian American heritage and proud of the nation that allows me to boast of it. You know, New York City is thought of as the city of dreams and dreamers, and one of the greatest of those dreamers was Fiorello LaGuardia. In his youth, he worked as an interpreter at Ellis Island, and in 1933, Fiorello LaGuardia was elected mayor of the city of New York. In an unprecedented 3 terms as mayor, he made the city a livelier, freer place. Despite the Depression, LaGuardia began New York's modernization, with slum clearance and dramatically improved health and sanitary conditions. Perhaps even more significantly, he introduced to the city the notion that it should think of itself as one family. And he did it by playing the role of Papa, rushing to a fire, reading the comics over the radio, helping the city bloom, like his nickname, the Little Flower. So don't forget one of our great dreamers and doers, Fiorello LaGuardia.
A public service message of the National Italian American Foundation.
Well, that wraps up our show from down here in Little Italy. We have to say goodbye to Mulberry Street and the old neighborhood now.
We always have a lot of fun coming down here.
We certainly do, and we hope you've had a lot of fun with us, too. See you soon. I'm Joseph Shelson.
And please join us next time for our continuing exploration and celebration of the contemporary Italian-American experience. I'm Emelisa Alejandri. Ciao for now.